Welcome to Kilgallon's Pub, the podcast where I, comedian Joe Kilgallon, like to sit down with people from all sorts of walks of life. I have a few drinks, get silly, try to recreate that bar conversation we all know and love. Sometimes it gets tense, sometimes it gets sad, but a lot of laughs along the way. I want to start off like I've been doing the last few podcasts by saying thank you to people who need to be thanked. Like to show a little gratuity at the start. I've told people if you write a 5-star review of the podcast on iTunes or pretty much anywhere where you could write reviews. I don't know if you can on Stitcher or Google Play or whatever. Just, throw me some love. I'll throw you some love back. It's got to be 5 stars, though. Don't be an asshole. Don't be writing 2 stars and saying, well, the one time I thought it was... Don't do that. I'm doing the best I can. I'm trying for you, right? So, big thanks to this latest 5-star review. Let's just get right into that before I ramble on anymore. This goes to Lil Teenies on iTunes. I like everyone's different iTunes ones we got here. You got some people used to use their real name. Some people go by nicknames. All right. Gave it a 5-star review, of course. Thank you. Listen to the Chelsea Hood episode, which was the latest episode, which I strongly recommend everyone go back to listen to. That was a really fun one with comedian Chelsea Hood, in which Lil Teenies liked her pizza recommendations because Lil Teenies used to live in Chicago. I know who Lil Teenies is, by the way. Lil Teenies has a podcast called Not the Mama, which you could check out on iTunes. It's like a non-parenthood podcast, which I think is a pretty cool concept, even though I am a parent. I'm a dad, and you guys know damn well that I'm a very proud dad, and being a father is like the best thing ever. But I also don't push on anyone else. I never understood that. The people who tell other people, oh, you should have kids. Oh, you want to have kids one day. Oh, you'll have them. You have them. It's like, why are we pushing kids on people who don't want to have kids when the people who do have kids are barely doing an adequate job as it is? There's a lot of people out there who have too many kids and are doing a shit job. So whenever I meet people who are like, oh, I don't want kids, I think, oh, yeah, it's fine, good, yeah. And then every now and then, though, I do have a friend or two where I can tell they're on the fence about it, and maybe I'll give them a little bit nudge towards it if I think they'll be good, if they've got the love to give, and I think they would do a great job, then absolutely. Yes, we need more people like that. But if it's not the life for you, it's not the life for you. Anyway, Julia Olson, so it's Not the Mama podcast with Auntie Julia. I'm going to say Julie. Sorry, Julia. You guys are going to see I'm a little off still. I'm going to play the recording of the podcast. I'm recording this separate from when we actually did the podcast live because it was such a hectic thing. I'm a moron. I went to go record the podcast with Bret Ernst is my guest. I'll tell you a little more about Bret before I edit this together so it doesn't sound so stupid. I went to go record at his hotel. I forgot the freaking recorder itself. I brought everything else, the microphones, all the accessories, except the actual thing that records the words, like a dummy. So then I had to go back, and then we had to record in the green room at the Improv Comedy Club in Schaumburg, Illinois. So another round of thank yous goes out to the Improv Comedy Club. I got to feature for Bret Ernst this weekend there. Had a great time. Loved the staff there. Steph and Luke and Tony Baldino, the owner, of course, and everyone who works there, top to bottom. Everyone's good people there, and the crowds that came out. I had a good time with a lot of the crowds. A couple of those audiences really made you work. I'll say that, but they were still there. Anyone who supports live comedy, I'm a big supporter of them. How do you like that? And 4th of July week, at the weekend before 4th of July, that's tough. That's a tough to sell, especially in the Midwest when it's like, oh yay, it's sunny. About time, we got to soak this up. Let's blow shit up and eat hot dogs. Which I'm more into the eating hot dogs part. I'm kind of over fireworks. I don't mind them if they're in the background. I'm like, oh, cool, but it's just too much with the oohs and the ahs. I'm like, really? It's the same shit. They haven't changed in 20 years. Fireworks. Yeah, some people go, oh, no, they put on a better show than they put on. It's whatever, fine. I know I'm not sounding real patriotic here, but I think fireworks are a little overrated. They would definitely be in my overrated column. Like I got a buddy who I saw today said, come by, the fireworks will be going on. That's different. There's a party and they're going on. I don't like when that's the plan. We're going to go all the way here and see fireworks. We're going to park, walk 2 blocks with blankets. You're going to be smacking your face and your legs because mosquitoes are going to be eating your ass. And then we're going to watch 7 minutes of fireworks. I've done it. I've done it. I know I'm 33 going on 90. I don't get it myself sometimes. But anyway, so a big thanks to everyone who came out there. So we recorded the podcast in the green room. So you're going to hear his buddy DJ was in town. So you're going to hear DJ chiming in a little bit, which I was cool with. I just wish I had a third mic that he could have just jumped on. That way it made more sense, And then, some people knocking on the door, like servers checking in on us if we need any beers or whatnot. Anyway, man, but I've been tired. I have been tired because it's just, I've been doing a lot of shows, which is great. I've been keeping busy. I filmed a little something that hopefully I could be telling you guys about shortly. I can't talk about on this podcast because I don't know, it's not out yet. So I got to wait a little bit. And so I've been a little exhausted in that regard. And so you're going to hear me, I should say, those of you who have been following the podcast. And those of you who are new to the podcast, big thanks for checking it out. Like I said before, if you read a 5-star review, I will give you a shout out on air. I've been doing that the last 3 or 4 episodes for the people who have been doing that. And I really appreciate that. And eventually I want to get to a point where I could give back to you, where I'm going to get either beer koozies made or t-shirts or just something that if you write me a 5-star review, I could throw it your way. So yeah, it'll be costing me some money. But in the long term, I'm playing the long game with this here because I really do love podcasting. I enjoy the hell out of this. Is that you will then tell your friends about the podcast, and writing reviews on iTunes does help you get more exposure. And then I could grow the podcast from there, and then eventually make it where that I could deliver you some bonus content, and maybe I'll do 2 podcasts this week because I did this one with Bret over the weekend, and I'm releasing this Monday night. It'll be up. I normally do it every Wednesday. Anyway, though, so just, the more people who listen to it, it's just better for everybody because the content could get better, could get bigger guests perhaps. I give you more podcasts. And, and maybe make a little bit of money off of this because, like I said, I got a little baby. And the less I have to take gigs I don't like, the more I could focus on being with him and doing the podcast and other creative avenues. I've got a lot of other stuff I'd like to do. And that just gives you the freedom as a comedian to pursue those. So yeah, thank you again. I can't thank the people who listen and tell their friends and write reviews enough. I really can't. So, but those of you who have listened know that I normally have a certain energy. And this one, I think I was so tired because I was on about 2.5 hours sleep because we had gone out the night before pretty late. And then my son woke up way too damn early. He's teething again, they get the molars and it's just the whole thing. Poor little boy. And I just did not get any sleep. That's why I think I got to come up with a new way to get my energy up. I got to start exercising or eating healthier. And I'm looking into that stuff. So I'm trying, but I'm not there all the way yet. B12 pills. I got to start doing that more. Because at the end of my second sets, if you see me at a comedy club, come to the early show. Because by the second show, I'm exhausted. And it hits me hard. So, but no, this was comedian Bret Ernst, who's he's been in a bunch of things. He's on Cobra Kai on YouTube Red, or it's called YouTube Premium now. He mentions that. And national touring comedian. He's got a special you can find at bretcomedy.com. The special is called Principal's Office. I respect him because he did it himself, put his own money into it. I like people who do that. They put their money where their mouth is. They believe in their talent and they back it up. And so yeah, definitely check that out. bretcomedy.com. And you can follow Bret on Twitter, and he's all over the place. And this was a fun one, man. He's an intense dude. I like that, though. When he gets into it, like he does on this podcast, it's like a second nature to him. He knows how to illustrate his points and his beliefs and really goes. And I let him go, I'll admit there's a few things here or there where listening back, I probably could have been like, wait, hold on, really? Just a couple things. Overall, though, I like... I like where his head is. I think he does care, Clearly he cares. You wouldn't be as amped up if you didn't. So I'm just going to let you guys listen to the podcast and enjoy it like you do. I encourage people. Sometimes it's more fun to crack a drink along the way. But like I've told people, because I've got comedian friends and people who I want to get on the podcast who aren't drinkers, who are like, look, man, I'm not really a drinker. I'm not promoting alcoholism here. I like to drink. It's fun for me. I'm not saying other people have to do that. I get it. You know what I mean? But the main purpose of this podcast is just to recreate that conversation you have in a bar. I've always loved the yelling back and forth, the just kind of like the busting chops, just the way a bar conversation flows. I've always been a big fan of, and that's why I like hanging out in bars and pubs. So that's what I'm trying to do here with Kilgallon's Pub, which you, of course, could follow on Twitter at Kilgallon's Pub. Give myself a follow on Twitter at Joe Kilgallon, which I am on everything else, joekilgallon.com. I've got mostly Chicago dates this summer, and then in the fall, I'm going to hit the road again. If you're listening throughout the country, hit me up. Maybe I'll try to work something out where I could bring the podcast to you. That's where I want to take this. Do a stand-up show in which the comedians on the show afterwards have some beers, and we talk shop, do a little Q&A from the crowd. I got big things. Planned for the podcast. So without further ado, Here is Kilgallon's Pub. All right, sitting here with my man, Bret Ernst. He's got a podcast called You're on the List, which is hilarious. You should check that out on iTunes. The man's also on the hit, going into a second season on YouTube Red, which is like YouTube Red's...
YouTube Premium now.
Oh, YouTube Premium.
Yeah,
I think that's way better name, actually. That's a better way to do it.
Yeah, because people kept saying RedTube.
Yeah, which is probably the third best porn site behind Pornhub and UJizz, if we're being honest. Pornhub's where it's at, if you ask me, though. But also, I know you from, this is a deep credit of yours. You probably might not get this credit a lot, but I feel I wanted to address it or give you some respect for it. Vince Vaughn's Wild West Comedy Show, because I was in college when that came out. Yeah. And I remember going down to like Eastern Illinois University or just going, I stayed at home. I didn't go... I didn't have the grades anyway. I was a bad student. But whenever I'd visit my friends who like had dorms and shit, that was like the most popular DVD, and you were like their favorite. So you had that, man. Really? Normally I don't start off kissing people's ass. I'll give you shit later.
Well, I appreciate that.
But I wanted to let you know that was like at that time people were like Chappelle DVDs, and then that DVD went around, the Wild West one, and people were into that.
Did you know you wanted to be a comic then?
Yeah, it was flowing in my mind a little bit because I had dropped out of college shortly after that.
Rightfully so.
Yeah, and then I did like sketch writing and improv at Second City, and I was kind of like, I'm not into this improv stuff. I thought, because I thought that was like the avenue to go, because so many like great comedic actors came from improv.
Yeah, a lot of people. I mean,
especially Second City, you know.
Yeah, if you don't know any stand-ups, you go like 10 indirect ways to get into stand-up. But if you're listening and you want to, just find out where an open mic is and just get up.
Well, yeah, right. It's that simple. I think every new comic wants that like magic. Tell me what you need and all that shit.
Yeah.
But no, it's not necessary, right? Anyway, though, what made me go into stand-up, though, my comedic influences around that time were I liked Seinfeld, the TV show, but as stand-up itself, I do nothing like that. And I like Carlin and Cosby. But, you know, what's hilarious is that, you know what, everything Cosby was god-awful, of course. You raping women, you deserve to be locked up. But could we look back and still say, yeah, those were great albums? I feel like you can. I mean, it shouldn't change it.
I think he's one of the best comic. His storytelling abilities, bar none.
Yeah, right?
But that
you can separate the art from the artist, is what I'm saying. Yeah, I feel like I could do it. You have to with shit.
You have to. I mean, any intellectual or people that try to be an intellectual can separate that. Like, you know, if you could read Charles Manson's poetry or his song lyrics and be like, you know, this guy may have been onto something, or the Unabomber's fucking manifesto. Yeah,
for all we know, Da Vinci was diddling kids. We don't know.
No idea.
No clue what Socrates was up to.
I mean, it's hard to do that, though. It's hard.
It is. I think it's getting harder now. And it depends, like, when it, I don't know, there's always a connection people make toward other shit.
The thing with comedy, though, is that, like, you know, you buy into the ethos of the comic. So, you know, you like the person, then you like the stand-up. But if you don't like the person, then it can interfere with how you view the stand-up now.
I would agree with that.
So it may not,
because stand-up is different in the sense that, like, I could listen to Billie Jean and not think about Michael Jackson with little kids, you know? But when you hear a comedian's perspective on something, because you do like the person, because there's a lot of comedians who aren't great writers, but they sell it so well because you like them, and you're like, oh, I'm into what they do. You know what I mean? So, but you know, here's what I wanted to. I mean, we're going to bounce around because I like to keep this like a bar conversation, like I was telling you. You're not drinking right now because people are always curious what we're drinking. Last week on the podcast, I drank 40s because I thought it'd be hilarious. Have you ever heard a King Cobra 40 ouncer?
Fuck, dude, come on, man. Of course,
right? It'd have been
drinking old English in
1991. I almost got Mickey's.
It's like 98 cents a fucking quart. The thing with the OE, though, you had to drink it fast, man. It skunked hard. If it was cold and you chugged it like right away,
wasn't bad.
40 ounce. But then if you let it sit, it just tasted awful.
That's what happened to the King Cobra. I let it sit for a little bit. I brown bagged it.
With that.
Yeah, it was pretty bad, but I kind of got a kick out of it. So I might start bringing 40s back on here. But you and I went out pretty hard last night, so I cracked up in the middle of the night. You're, you know, we didn't really go out hard, but we stayed up late is what I'm trying to tell you right now.
Talked.
Yeah, so we're both we're exhausted is what it is. You know what I mean? So we you know what I like about you? You remind me of me in a way, which you're not seeing this side of me because I got a 1-year-old and I'm exhausted. But we have a thing where we have two speeds. We're either chill or it's like, listen, motherfucker. But we sound like we're arguing even when we're in agreement. Yeah, right? What's your name again? I'm sorry?
This DJ.
We got DJ hanging out. Right now we're recording this and actually filming it on my phone. We're in the green room here at the Improv. And yeah, because I was a moron and we were going to record at your hotel and I forgot the fucking recorder.
Yeah, this kid drives all the way.
Yeah, Chicago to Schaumburg. Not an easy, fun drive.
No.
So anyway, I'm hungover a little bit. You're not. You're being a good boy right now, which is fun. But what I like about that is you're amping it up. You could still be like,
I had 1 or 2 beers last night, maybe 3. But I'm not a good drinker, man. I'm not good with that stuff. So it doesn't. I don't handle it well. And I did my ancestry.com and I came back Native American. I got some Native American.
Did you really?
So maybe that's why I did Lenny Lenape. So maybe that has something to do with it.
I come from a long line of mix, so it's.
Oh, you guys can handle it.
We can handle it. It's a disease, though, in the same sense.
Well, the Midwest in general is you guys drink a lot out here, man.
Hard winters.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, New Jersey gets hard winters, though, right?
No.
Not really?
Look, I moved from Jersey when I was in my freshman year of high school. So I was in South Florida, and people drink a lot, you know, when you would go on a boat or during the day at the beach and stuff. People have fun like that. But you guys in the Midwest are at a whole other level.
We are.
Because you're still drinking in the summer. You could say hard winters and use that as an excuse.
It's an excuse. It is an excuse. I lived in LA for 3 years, and when I was there, people were like, man, Chicago drinks a lot. And I didn't realize it because I was part of the problem. When you take a step aside and you look back, and then I started going, oh, shit, we do drink a lot.
Yeah.
Because we have 4 a.m. bars. I remember like my first week in LA, the bars were like kicking people out at like 1, and I'm like, where are we going next? And everyone's like, home. That's where we're going.
They put a curfew in like the early 90s because of all the gang situations out there.
Oh, yeah, the LA riots and whatnot.
Well, it was even may have been before that because I guess it was a big problem. Some cop was telling me, I go, how's this the entertainment capital of the world and you can't be entertained? Because, you know, you used to going out in New York, everything's open. Chicago's everything's open. Miami, forget it. They're serving breakfast in the fucking nightclubs.
Yeah.
But LA, I guess at that time period had a, you know, serious problem.
And they're
with
soft.
The gangs.
It's a little soft, too, as a city. But yeah.
What do you mean, dude? The people that are from LA?
No, you know what? That's fair.
Real, dude.
That's fair. It's the people from like the Valley?
The Hollywood people, yeah.
Yeah.
But
I don't mean.
Actors and art. Well, see, the thing with LA, it's a one industry town.
The thing, it is, and everything's related to that. But you're right, though. The people from LA, because I met a lot of good dudes from LA, like the dudes who worked like on crew. Those guys who could build sets like a second. Those are like union dudes. It's a big union town. People don't even realize that.
A lot of my friends that grew up in Cali, like DJs from the Sacramento area, they're just blue collar kids. You know, it's just like anywhere else. But
yeah.
You know, it's just that Hollywood itself has overrun everything. That's what it's synonymous with. But, you know, again, you're talking about theater people and singers, and you know, they're not.
I always used to laugh.
They're not going to be the toughest. Some of them are not going to be the toughest people.
No, they're not at all. It always used to crack me up when I'd hear about like. You know,
although they dress like they work in factories.
Oh yeah, they do, right? I've seen dudes wear like jumpers where they're wearing like what are you, a mechanic now? What the fuck are you wearing? We were talking about
this last night. Is that like my grandfather's generation? Those guys, you know, they were hard. You know, the way I grew up with a lot of blue collar guys, but they always wanted to appear like they had money, so they would dress up. You know, when they would go out, you'd wear, you know, they'd buy expensive shoes and stuff, and not like they didn't have money, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas you meet all these kids that are nowhere near blue collar, but they dress down like a lumberjack. It's like, dude, you're a vegan and you take your bike everywhere.
They're embarrassed that they grew up with some money, right?
Yeah.
Some of those kids.
I think so. What do you think, DJ? Would you say they're embarrassed?
I wish I could get a mic on you, DJ.
He's all right.
Ashamed of,
they got some guilt there, right?
Where you got to be ashamed of success or wealth.
I just think there is this demonization, especially today, of successful people. You know.
Yeah,
know, like,
there's some of that. Yeah.
Because just because somebody's rich doesn't mean that's why you're poor, or you know, you. To me, my philosophy is 50%, and actually Burr is the one that we were talking about this. I kind of agreed with him, but he verbalized it a little better. But he was like, you know, I'm either 50% or 100% responsible or accountable.
I think that's a smart way to go about it.
It is because, you know, even if it's something that is nobody would ever hold you accountable for, you have to find a way to figure out what I did wrong to be in this situation or why I'm not where I want to be.
I think, yeah, like you're saying, even if you're not, why not just own up to it a little bit? I'm reading a book right now called Extreme Ownership. I'm only about like halfway into it. It's about these Navy SEAls. And how, it's like whole books about like leadership and stuff like that, and how like you got to own your situation, and
Absolutely.
and it's what they learned on the battlefield and how like it translates to regular life and stuff like that. It's a really fascinating book, but it does make you think. Like there are a lot of people who make excuses out there, and look, there are some people who did get dealt a shitty hand, but whining about that is not going to get you out of your situation. And I think you're right. There's that level of suburban kid that you see like in an LA or a New York or a Chicago. And by the way, I am glad you called me on that shit though, because it is like drinking at a bar with someone when they go, hold on a sec. People from LA are different than the ones I know, those transplants.
Yeah.
Completely different. It'd be like me saying everyone from Brooklyn is soft because my version of Brooklyn is Williamsburg, right? Yeah, that'd be a fucked up. I wouldn't like that if someone from Chicago was like, I've been to Chicago. All you guys, you fucking skinny kids in Logan Square and shit like that. I'm like, no, that's not Chicago.
Yeah.
That's not my town. I brought up I get bad hangovers. You said you weren't good with drinking. Was it because you get hangovers, or you're just not?
No, I just I don't know, man. It affects me differently. I feel a little sluggish today.
I had a hangover today, and I kind of wanted to pick your brain to see, because being a comedian on the road, as long as you've been, I was wondering maybe if you'd picked up a hangover remedy along the way.
Just take aspirin before you go to bed.
See, that's everything is about before you go to bed.
And drink water.
Who the fuck remembers that shit before they go to bed?
Huh?
I said, who remembers that shit before they go to bed? That's the key, though. That's when you got to be responsible.
Non-Irish people.
Yeah, exactly, man. It's one of those things where it's not like you're preparing to go to bed. You just fall asleep. You black out. It's not even blacking out. I just go to bed.
Well, I mean,
rarely.
if you're that drunk, if I've been really, really drunk, then I'm not taking aspirin. I'm passing the fuck
Totally.
out. But I get hyper. I'll be up all night. We'll be up all talking everything. We'll argue fucking sports. Those are my favorite things to do, man. I think most comics like it,
I'm into it though. Well, I mean,
maybe me more so than others. I don't know. You like that shit though, DJ?
Love arguing.
Yeah, it's fun.
it is fun.
My favorite thing to do.
It's a skill. There's a skill to arguing.
You know what it is that just as even a comic in general, like you're always reading shit and taking stuff in and forming opinions and again, even I think we're all contrarians by nature, like
No.
and you try and no, we are.
We are?
No,
All right. Well,
no.
if you fucking say so. No, I'm kidding.
No, and then you get around somebody that cares about stupid shit like you do, and you play this mental chess with each other. Because sometimes but then there's times where like you want to learn, like I'm not going to start screaming or yelling about like baseball. I don't know enough about baseball or even hockey.
Yeah.
But if we're going to talk football and I know a lot about football, then yeah, I have my opinions. But if you're telling me like some shit about baseball that I don't know, then I'm not gonna. Then that's not fun for me.
Yeah, I get that. Well, it's not fun because you might lose an argument too. So that's not fucking fun.
You know what? The thing with me is I'm okay with being wrong. You know what I mean? Which is, I think, is such a beautiful thing now with Google.
Well, yeah, it lets you soak in your wrongness. But I
always
like
thought
it where
there's a show there, by the way, where you let people talk and then you fact check the whole argument.
I'm surprised there hasn't been. That'd be a great thing to
you
do.
get points for fact checking.
You just throw a topic out there and they each have to choose a side. Because they say, like, I know a lot of people say that Google has ruined, like, the bar conversation in the sense that there used to be people who would be like, oh, fuck you, man. Penguins fuck 7 times a day. No, who told you that shit? And then they Google, it's like, no, they don't. And you're like, all right, I guess they don't. And that sucks because I used to love watching people be so wrong, but they're like 100% going to fight for their fucking wrongness. And that's how I am. Like, I go from 0 to 60 when I'm into stuff. I was joking before about, like, now that I'm a dad, I'm more tired. But, like, when we were talking 2 nights ago about like fantasy football, I'm like, damn, this dude's just like me. It's not you don't have a conversation where it's just like, hell yeah, oh, is that your opinion?
Nobody does.
It's more like, listen, motherfucker, I know a guy who works at NFL Network and he fucking told me this
That's why
shit.
that whole mansplaining thing makes me laugh. I mean, because guys just come out the gate hot. We're never like, well, let me hear your point on why you feel Tom Brady's better. Then I will rebuttal with mine.
Yeah, that's just how we talk.
Why I like
We're fucking dicks.
Joe Montana, and then maybe we could come to an agreement. You come out the gate, dude. You're fucking stupid. You don't know what you're talking about, and then we just argue.
No, I've pissed off my feminist friends with that shit where I go, listen, if you're wrong, sometimes you have to be like, actually, sometimes it's a fucking word. The word was invented for a reason.
But
sometimes you have to use
if you're
it.
trying to have any type of an intellectual debate or conversation, it doesn't. I don't care about your tone. It's what are you adding? Like fucking Socrates wasn't mansplaining. He's just telling you shit.
He was just right.
The other day, this girl was like, don't mansplain this to me right now. I was like, I'm not mansplaining it to you. I'm just explaining that bullshit. Are you mansplaining now? I
See, but real quick, women have always, I don't know if you guys picked up on that on the microphone. Mansplaining is what you got accused of there.
Well, I had a woman explain mansplaining to me, so I'm like, that's
your woman
fucking
explained.
female splaining. But it's so stupid. It's so dumb.
I could see, look,
all
if
that is dumb. All these terms are dumb. And you know what? I have a theory on this too. All these social justice issues now are all coming into play, especially in comedy. But it's not really. It's only prevalent really in like the San Francisco, LA
it's bubbles.
area.
It's fucking little
it's
tiny
not like
pockets.
The rest of the nation doesn't even know any of this.
They don't
stuff.
give a shit. The rest of the nation doesn't even know the word.
Liberal arts college campuses and in like uber progressive cities and pockets.
And not in pockets of it, yeah.
But with that being said, my theory.
It's that we have to deal with it because we work in those places. So.
But here's my theory.
All right.
They waited till George Carlin died before they started doing this shit. Because you know good and well, if George Carlin was alive, he would just annihilate all of this type of fucking rhetoric.
But then they would try to call him an old white man. But then again, you're right. They waited till he died because because he had garnered so much respect.
Well, I guess
over
an old white
decades.
man's opinion doesn't matter. You know, it's so dumb to discount any opinion based on your gender or race in itself.
It's bullshit. Yeah, it's complete bullshit.
Unless
It
I'm
is.
talking about what it's like to be pregnant.
I talked about this on the last podcast. I had my friend Chelsea Hood on, and she's a white woman, and she goes, "Yeah, people are bashing white women, saying we don't struggle the way other women do." And that's like, all right, now it's like a pissing contest, like I was saying last week on the podcast, where it's like, all right, we're just going to keep peeling off layers, and only the minorities of minorities are like, they're the only righteous one. It's kind of a fucking stupid thing, and it's a lot of people who are bored.
It's just not.
And like you said, ashamed of like their background or whatever, so they try to like pretend like there's something they're not.
Well, here's the thing: I could still be for me and not against you.
Yeah, exactly.
And then if you want to make a point and you want to have an argument, and then or not even an argument, if you want to have some type of a discussion, I think you can I only argue sports really.
Well, yeah, because the stakes aren't that high.
I guess I can get. Well, the thing.
But when I argue, though, I don't think of it as like, I don't take it personal. If I'm getting into it and someone slams me back, I don't give a shit.
Well, I think
it's like you think the way you think. I think there's.
That's a male thing too. I think men in general bond through confrontation.
I would agree, and it is from a family background too. If you come from certain families, like I came from a big family, like we'd go to my grandma's house every Sunday for dinner. Like I'd have like 15 cousins, and you had to talk fast and loud to get your point across.
Yeah.
And that was just the way that shit worked.
Yeah, those Catholic cultures are really fucking loud.
Oh, god damn, man.
I
didn't realize it until I saw other people's families.
I think Joe Rogan,
like, oh, really?
somebody had a joke. I think it was Joe Rogan who had one about all the crazy people are Catholic. Like when you look at all the craziest white people, they're always Catholic.
I would agree with that.
Oh, you got the Latinos too.
Well, I mean,
Catholic.
like the Latinos definitely, yeah. But Irish, Italian, Catholic, Polish are Catholic.
Well, you know, but the thing is that you grew up a certain way. Like I can tell you exactly when my grandparents came here.
Yeah.
And the cities that they lived in, and a lot of them didn't speak English, and they went through this struggle. And to us, it's like, you know, my history begins at Ellis Island in the 20th century. So I don't know, and they came from Sicily. Nobody had money.
Yeah.
You know, and then they came here and they lived in these fucking neighborhoods with Jewish immigrants. It's, you know, ghetto is actually
it's
a
from Jewish
word, Yiddish word or whatever. And everybody was poor, and there was this first generation European immigrant. There's just immigrants everywhere, especially in New York and in Chicago and these major cities. So you referred to everybody by the Polak down the street, the Jew kid, you know, the Wop, the Mick. And nobody really cared because they had like real shit they were dealing with.
Yeah, it's almost like a term of endearment in a lot of ways to me.
Well,
you know what I mean?
But see, here's the thing now. When we grow up, especially if you're like, I'm 40, you know, in my 40s. So my grandparents, I was exposed to that type of way of talking. Like when I was growing up, you say sticks and stones will break my bones, words would never hurt me.
Yeah.
You know, that was, nobody cared about names, and you knuckled up. But, you know, look, at the same time, there is something to be said for the progress in society now that there were groups of people that, you know, were being trivialized. Is that the word?
Marginalized, yeah.
Or also, you know, people were just blatantly yelling out, like my brother was gay, right? And as a kid, everybody said faggot. And to straight guys, you don't mean anything homophobic about it. But you're forgetting that what if you're really gay?
Yeah.
And then you're fucking scared.
Yeah.
Smear the queer.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
No.
Working on a bit about how everybody who says like the First Amendment is under attack. It's like, dude, the founding fathers wrote the First Amendment so that smart people could present smart ideas free of persecution from the church and state. It wasn't, and they were just
Yeah, the First Amendment thing is not.
Here comes our first argument.
It wasn't.
Here, come here.
Yeah, sit a little closer so we can get your voice on.
So you can run around calling people kike.
No, it was though. It was because it wasn't even factored in then. By the way, the big misconception: the First Amendment was not created to protect the government from religion. It was religion from the government. Okay, because that was the basis of it. So and the idea of separation, church and state, is not even in the Constitution. It was in a letter from Thomas Jefferson. You can't separate. And again, because we're on the same page here, but it's very important. And I've also found that younger people don't know civics. They don't know the history of the Constitution. You talk to kids in their 20s, all these white slave owners did this to control. People have no fucking idea what the founding forefathers risked. They had it easy. Ben Franklin was down with the fucking king. Like Run DMC. I'm down with the king, right? And they had all this money, and now they choose to go to war. And if they win, if they lose, they're all going to be murdered publicly.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
And they lose everything. But if they win, they just keep everything they already have.
It's very unlikely.
What, for us to win? Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm saying is that there was this idea, there was this, look, we felt we were being robbed and being ignored, and the aristocrats were taking advantage. See, that's the other thing. The history of America is one big civil rights struggle from beginning to end. From the colonists to the civil rights to the women's suffrage movement, which, by the way, we talked about that in America before most of Europe.
Yeah,
okay?
No, that's true.
And we're way more advanced and progressive than people give us credit for, because there's this revisionist of this history that is just not based in a lot of it's not based in fact.
I think a lot of history.
It's based in human nature, by the way.
That's true. I think a lot of what the problem with today in society, but like you were saying with other stuff, there's certain pockets of people who are like this and like this and like that, just for speaking generalities here. But I really think that most people, like you were saying before, are just living their life. We're living, I think, how we look back, that was the age of enlightenment, this was the Renaissance. 100 years from now, people are going to look back at this little time period as the age of information, where it's too much information, and it makes people think shit's worse than it is when it's not, or it makes people fucking get all revved up when there's no reason to. This is just
a time period in social evolution right now.
Yes,
it's going to figure
evolution.
itself out.
It will.
But me personally, I know immigration's a big debate. Legal immigrants.
Is it?
Yeah.
I'm just being a dick.
I think America needs more first-generation immigrants, because the immigrant mentality is not that of the social justice warrior.
Oh no,
the immigrant mentality
thoughts,
is that of my grandfather. You work, you stay honest. And we need to start deporting more fourth-generation Americans.
I was fucking saying that. I was on a text thread with my cousins.
100%.
I was on a text thread with my cousin. My one cousin, I don't know if he was trolling us or whatever, was all
Would you agree with that or no?
I would agree with that 100%.
Get them the fuck out.
That's what I was
saying. They
saying.
don't even know how the government works. These people, we're not a democracy.
Constitutional republic.
They just don't know the basics of how the government
Thomas
works.
Jefferson said there should be a constitutional convention every 20 years because what's good for us today might not be good for us 20 years from now. Shit like that.
And we
You're right. They don't know.
Living, breathing, fucking
document. Yeah.
It's so vague and specific at the same time. I mean, you got to get to the basics of that. Now, to me personally, the last real civil rights struggle going on was not allowing homosexual people to marry. I think that's just a basic violation of anybody's civil rights.
I would agree with that. Yes,
right.
Of course.
But now when you're getting into making everything equal, now you're fighting human nature, because by nature, nothing's equal.
No, yeah. I mean, I would agree with you on that.
Now, let me ask you
human
this.
nature, nothing's equal. That's true.
No, nothing is equal, and things balance out, and there's certain people that are going to make more than other people, certain people that are going to be marginalized. Any group, I mean, you're just going to go on and on, but this happens in every culture from the beginning of time, because it's the way humans are. And to go back and judge people in the past is even worse. Like if you're growing up in New York City during the Depression and you're not eating, you're going to be a dick.
Totally.
People were dicks.
I said this
nobody
on
had shit. Just go to fucking, where is it in India?
If you're hungry, you're going to be a piece of shit.
Mumbai, and it's all just India.
Okay, but I'm saying there's parts of India that these people are so poor. Nobody is fucking holding hands and giving out things. And you only do that when things are good, when people are fed And you know, like our definition of poor is looking at somebody with a mansion and going, I don't have that.
Yeah.
I have 2 cars. Everybody has a cell phone. We have 3 TVs. We got the internet. You know what I mean? We have running fucking water.
Yeah.
And
If you have a toilet that flushes, you're better than on like 90% of the
yeah,
fucking
dude.
world's population. It's
and
crazy.
to be honest with you, a lot of it is just spoiled, where everybody's fucking spoiled. And something's going to happen. Just like, you know, where they say you don't know what you got till it's gone.
Sure, but I really
Whatever
think
that may be, in order for people to
I
wake
think
up.
this shit goes in cycles. I think every 40 years there's like this thing where everyone's like, we've never been more divided. I hear people say right now we've never been more divided, and that might be
Yeah,
true.
really? Did you ever hear the
But,
civil fucking war?
Yeah, exactly. You ever see the Civil War? 600,000 people die.
Times have you lived in? You can't.
Yeah, they don't know. They're just fucking speaking out of their ass. Or how about the 60s? People are like, I think it might be worse than the 60s. Really, we had Vietnam. We had assassinations, for God's sakes. Like, there was a lot of fucking crazy
Dude,
shit.
it's always, because I'm saying it's human nature.
Yes, it
I was
is.
listening to Jordan Peterson talk, and he was saying how 1 in 10 people have under an 85 IQ. So think about that.
I mean, I don't know if the stats that, but I believe
this is
it.
what
It's
he
believable.
said. 1 in 85.
So what would?
Wait, 1 in 10 have an
has it under
85?
So then you
Wasn't that
gotta-
Forrest Gump's IQ? Didn't he have an 85
But
in
then
the
you got to
movie?
figure out that there's people with average and below average IQs, right? So that's got to make up, the average has to make up most people. But here's the crazy part. A lot of people with really high IQs don't know how to function in society sometimes because
They have no one to
they're-
relate to.
Right.
Yeah.
But most people live in the middle, and most people just, you know, they get by. And you know, it comes a point, you know, when you're in your 20s, and that's why I give a lot of the younger kids a pass. And to be honest with you, people keep picking on millennials. It's like, leave them the fuck alone already, okay? They're in their 20s. They're doing what they're supposed to do.
Yeah.
And they're supposed to care about shit. Now, to me, the only way you're
The
ever...
hippies did in the 60s, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. The beatniks in the 50s.
Sure, yeah.
And the fucking revolutionaries in the 1700s.
Yeah.
And they're idealistic.
Because it's probably that's when you have the energy to care, right? When you're in your 20s.
But the only difference between those people is that they were actually fending for their lives, and they actually farmed and worked. What we have now is, like I always say, if you really want to be woke, pay your own health insurance, pay your fucking property taxes, pay your federal taxes, you know what I mean? And then you can really understand, because when you look at the fundamental difference, you have one group of people that are fighting for things that you can't really fight for, that are already there legally. They're just trying to tell people how to talk and how to feel. And then the other people that are much older are saying, look, kids, this is great, but my income taxes are fucking high. My health insurance is off the roof. I can't afford my deductible. You know what I mean? And you have most of America that's actually functioning in the system. And the little smaller group are trying to comment on how people should be treated in the system. Does that make any sense?
No, it does make sense.
But
I don't know if
both
they're
right, but
yeah.
one is more...
I'm okay with people outside the system saying the system's fucked up because maybe they had trouble in the system. I don't know. We're back to the First
systems
Amendment.
will always be fucked up because there's human nature. You can't take that element out.
I
That's
agree.
why when people talk about socialism and communism goes against human nature. Human nature is not to just share with everybody and one person's going to work harder than the other person. And people that even advocate socialism don't even know how to set up a socialist government. If you ask them, how do you set it? Because if you think the 1% control shit now, then get put into a communist country or a socialist country.
Well, definitely a
Who's gonna
communist with a
decide what
dictatorship
job
for
you're
sure.
gonna
They would
do
fuck
and
that
how
up.
much money you're going to pay, and how is that all decided? Now, if you think that that's going to work, then go out to dinner with 30 people. I always say that. Go out to dinner with 30 people and try and pay the tab. Watch what happens.
It's a motherfucker.
People forget their money. Somebody's going to pay more than the other, but everybody eats.
But you're also making a good argument for why libertarianism is kind of bullshit. Because they have this whole theory of no taxes. And I go, okay, well, if there's no taxes, how are we going to have a street light?
Yeah.
Oh, well, we'll just collect from everybody.
Well,
oh, really? Because watch people not answering their fucking door, you know?
Well,
That's where libertarianism, I think, on paper, it sounds like a great thing.
But wait,
but you can't.
But now we're talking about the basics of how the system is run, how the business.
Because some
is run,
taxes are good. People
right?
forget that. There are some taxes that are very good.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is that you're talking about, we don't have a tax problem. We have a spending problem.
I would agree with
Okay,
that.
that's what
I
we
think we
have.
could have some of the things. I think we could have some of the things that a lot of these, people who are.
Dude, we have spent trillions of dollars.
We could
It's not even
probably
a real
have.
number, by the way. We have spent trillions of dollars to end poverty in America since 1960.
Yeah, and we've wasted money on
but it's
drug wars and
estimated
other
that
stupid shit too. Yeah.
I'm saying, where the fuck did the money go?
I don't know where it went.
Of
Yeah.
course not. So
There was a couple decent programs, but the rest of it went to shit.
We have a spending problem. If you were to, and nothing's accountable. I read this article where these numbers, $1 trillion is not even a real number. The only people that use that number, economists don't even use that number. Are fucking.
It's not 100 billion.
Politicians. It's not a real number. It's almost impossible.
Or 1,000 billion? What would it be? 1,000 billion? Wouldn't that
I'm
be?
saying is that that's not a real. That's like such an astronomical number. You couldn't even count to fucking $1 trillion.
Because I know our debt is like 17 trillion.
It's all.
But is it 21 trillion now? But only it just keeps going up too.
It's debt and credits.
Well, you know what? Most of the
paper that has
it's
no
bullshit.
value.
It's such bullshit because we've been in debt in this country since 1835, and we were in debt every year up to 1835. 1 year in this country's history, we were debt free. 1835. 1 year. So whenever people, I think both politicians on both sides use it as a fucking talking point. It's like, oh, we're going to control this and that. We've been running on debt. It doesn't matter. We're America. We could still fucking.
You can't fucking start demonizing the rich and expect a system, because it would be like you saying, Mom and Dad, I hate the way you make your money. You're a piece of shit. This is what I want. And then they say, you know what? Well, we're not going to pay for your college now. You're not going to pay for your housing. We're not going to pay for your cars. We're not going to pay for your fucking insurance. And now go figure it out. And sooner or later, you can't. I'm not articulating this right.
I hear what you're saying, but
there has to be a respect. You have to understand what the function of the government is and how the economy works before you can start talking about everybody raising minimum wage or lowering certain taxes. And you know, people have to understand, and I'm not smart enough to understand that. By the way,
I want to get back.
We both know I'm not.
I'm not either. Let's go.
I can't even balance my fucking checkbook.
This is drunk comedians, not even drunk, but typically we usually do. But these are just comedians talking shit right now, which is basically what could have been another name for the podcast. Comedians talking shit. It'd be a great title actually, because it tells you exactly what you're listening to. You know, some podcasts have like
yelling
silly
at
names.
Himself.
No, I do think you're right with the spending problem thing. With the whole spending problem thing, is we could probably have we could have a lot of the toys that we want if we did cut spending in wasteful areas. Now, when you talk about demonizing the rich, I do think there's a lot of class warfare in some regards that is kind of unfair in a way. So but I definitely think you could demonize corporations though, man. Because
what makes it unfair? Like what makes the fact that
it's level playing field shit in a lot of ways.
Let's say everybody gets upset that CEO pays themselves millions of dollars, right, to run a business where he has thousands of employees, which again, it's a private thing and they're stockholders and they all agree on that. But everybody's okay with some artist making $100 million and not employing anybody on, you know what I'm saying? Right. So when we're talking about and by the way, that artist has every right to make hundreds of millions of dollars.
Sure.
Okay, and because that's what they're earning and that's what they're selling, and that CEO has every right. Now, when you're these fucking Congress people that have these unlimited terms, which is a libertarian platform, because again, not every belief is 100%, but absolutely we should limit terms in Congress. Absolutely. Absolutely states' rights should trump the government's rights. Absolutely. Absolutely we need the Electoral College. People are like, well, with the majority, Hillary only won 300 counties. Trump won over 3,000.
But nobody lives in a lot of those counties. I go back and forth on the Electoral College.
But then you know what then? I shouldn't be able to talk about farming and people that live in the farming communities because I don't know how to fucking farm.
I think we should just separate. Go two different countries.
People in the farming community shouldn't be able to talk about gay rights because there's fucking...
Yeah, what the fuck do they know about that? Like, the thing is...
That's such a San Francisco statement. There's no gay people in the Midwest.
They don't. They fucking move to the cities though. They move to the liberal bubble.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I would agree with you there.
You know what I'm saying? They're not staying on the farm. So even when you
go, but both like I think there's definitely.
But the point is though is that all right. Let's take that and run with it. So then people in a farm in Iowa should not be commenting on how much money or what people need in say Chicago or in the inner city. Everything has different problems. Like there's people.
They're completely different lives. Yeah.
But I'm saying that's why the states, each state needs to fulfill what it needs, and you can't have other groups of people just because the majority of them live somewhere in one area. Just think about that. If you just did the majority vote, that means all you need to do is win 300 counties, and that means the rest of the 3,000 have no voice. And it was a checks and balance system when it was in place. I think it was 1789. It's been around. You know, it is. You ever hear that the majority rule?
Yeah.
people think that means majority rules. It doesn't.
No.
It's the majority rule.
Yes.
And that is put in place to protect these smaller areas that don't have that population, but still have demands and needs.
You know,
I don't say it's 100% perfect by no means.
No, well, that's my thing though, because there is definitely it could swing the other way where it's like, okay, people say all you need to do is 300 counties, and then people in these other 3,000 counties are fucked. And then people say, yeah, in those 3,000 counties, though, no one lives. So now 3,000 counties, what the fuck determines in a county? You know what I mean? These are all made up, drawn lines at the end of the day.
At the end of the day, yeah, there's
right?
the gerrymandering, there's all kinds of
there's
stuff.
all sorts
there's
of
ways
bullshit
around it, but the fact is, if those ways, you're making it still more difficult. They're gonna.
What would you do to change the system if you could?
I wouldn't. I would just have
keep it the way it is.
I would keep it the way the system's fine. It's just been corrupted.
But it feels like I feel like every election's about 6 or 7 states, right?
Say what?
Every election seems to be about 6 or 7 states.
Well, they call it the swing states for a reason, and that's because they usually don't go party lines all the way.
Yeah, they tip one way or another.
They vote issues.
Sure.
So again, what are we doing here? I mean, if let's just say that these social justice warriors had their way, and what's going on in fucking Canada right now, where they're legislating your gender, the improper use of a gender pronoun is a hate crime.
Is that really true? I thought there was some bullshit. Is that really happening up there?
Yes. That is 100%.
So you misspeak and it's a hate crime?
There's been
is that
2
what they're trying to
comics
do?
that had to go in front of a human rights tribunal over jokes.
In Canada?
Yes.
Wow.
One of them, right, had to pay $20,000, and then there was another guy who made a joke about a handicapped kid, and they.
I remember heard about the guy in England and all that shit, which is kind of fucked up
but
too.
I'm saying is that that's how far extreme it can go. Basically, you need checks and balances. It's very important.
Yes.
And again, sometimes the scales is going to tip not in that way, but you got to keep that balance. A great example could be that you could argue a monarchy. I could say a monarchy is great. And let's say you give absolute power to a king and you find a king that's giving and generous, and you may have 4 kings like that, okay, or queens. But once you get that one that's fucked up, there's no going back.
Yeah.
So when you have this system set up, yes, there's going to be flaws, but look, it's very simple. Corporate money has fucked this country.
That's where I wanted to go when you said there's a demonization of rich people. I go, yeah, a lot of that's unfair, but there is something about corporations that have fucked this country that could be. Will take, some corporations should be demonized.
Well,
you know?
they need to be put in check.
Yes,
what's going on is that look, we could sit there and again, I was a Bernie guy, okay, but at the same time, when Bernie, right when the Republicans voted to bring medicine in from Canada and Mexico, and the Democrats voted it down. Okay? And Bernie was the only one to vote for it as well. That's right when Trump got into office in the new House and the new Senate.
Yeah.
So are they really for the people, or are they taking... Look, they're all getting...
Isn't this the 2-party system that's fucking us, though? It's the 2-party system that's really fucking us. We should have 4 or 5 parties. You don't think so?
No, I think 3 tops. I think we need a third one.
I think 3 minimum.
I think 3 minimum. I know...
You can't. It's too much.
Because then nobody gets a 50% vote thing or anything.
Look what happened in Germany, man. I mean, it was a 33-party system, and Hitler was never elected. Well, Hitler was never elected. That's another misconception.
Well, I don't know if we'll go from 2 to 33. That'll be a fucking big jump. But yeah, it definitely needs something more. I definitely think we could do some more. Because with the 2-party system, whenever it's going to be like this. So 8 years of Democrats blocking Bush, then 8 years of Republicans blocking Obama. Then that's why you kind of need that third party that's going to, like, we have swing states, we have swing party.
There's a movement in Congress called the No Labels movement, which is both Republicans and Democrats. The other problem that we have is that you have these baby boomers that just won't go away.
Yeah.
It's like your time is up. Move on.
I was joking saying there should be a cap to voting.
No,
you have to be 18 to vote. You can't vote past the age of 70 or something.
Well, no. Well,
I mean, just come on. I'm obviously joking around a little bit here, but I'm not kidding you. When I voted in Burbank, I think it was the midterms in 2014. I think was I voting in Burbank?
All I'm saying is
a 99-year-old woman voted in front of me. Who the fuck is she? She could have died the next day and fucked all us over by voting for some asshole.
What if she voted for what you wanted?
Yeah, I know. I'm joking around, obviously. I'm fucking around. I don't think there should be a cap on their age, but it is hilarious to me that all these old fucks. You were talking about it, though.
Yeah, it is.
You were talking about it, though, with all those, like, everyone who ran Like you were talking Ronald Reagan. You were talking about this the other day. Ronald Reagan was 69 when he got elected.
They all thought he was too old.
They thought he was too old. You got 74-year-old Bernie, 70-year-old Trump, and 70-year-old Hillary. They all would have. Any of those three who would have won would have broken the record
But
for
I'm
oldest
saying is
elected.
that, like,
That's too old.
You got to understand that baby boomer generation politics
can't
is
download
really
an
the
app?
corruption politics. I mean, it starts
100%.
Yes.
with like the Nixon
Because
era
there's
too.
so many of them. More people, more corruption chances, I feel like.
But they're the ones that, like, I think identity politics is fucking dumb. I don't think it's productive. I still think you can have civil rights and represent people by not discrediting. And again, man.
So is your argument, not to cut you off because you're rolling
We're all
there.
over the place.
But no, man, that's how we do it at a bar. When you say identity politics is the problem,
Mm-hmm.
does it go back to your previous point where it's I could have something without taking from you? Do you feel like a lot of identity politics
look,
makes it seem like
here's the problem, and this is the reason why Trump is in office, is because the progressive left has gotten so far left. Even if you ever try and talk to these people, and this is why you always hear a lot of comics discuss these issues, is because we're surrounded by them, and they're bullies. They don't have intellectual conversations. They automatically discredit us because we're white men.
Yeah.
And say you're a non-white person that doesn't agree with them. Then now you're an Uncle Tom, or there's never just talking the issue. And you saw a little bit of that during the Bush administration, the first one, after, you had people that would speak out against the war.
and then they were
And they're
anti-American. Yeah, which is
And it's
bullshit.
like, no,
yeah.
that's not the case. But at the same time, what bothers me is because as a former Democrat, as a former John F. Kennedy Democrat, and now an independent, and a proud independent, okay, we knew what the Republican Party is. What bothers me about the Democrats is they pretend that they give a fuck, and they don't. And they divide, and you see their arguments change all the time. Hillary was never for gay marriage.
She was against it up until like 2013. Yeah.
Chuck Schumer, Barack Obama, they were all for strict immigration laws. And
Obama
by the
deported
way,
more people than anybody. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I used to use that argument to defend Obama when everybody would say he's weak on immigration. He's like, no, he's not. But now, like, here's an example. Mitt Romney made Russia an issue when he was debating Obama. And Obama made jokes about it. This isn't the Cold War. And you saw all the jokes on Jimmy Kimmel and, across the board, who, by the way, I love. But they were doing Rocky IV jokes, and we would laugh about it.
Great
I don't
flick.
even know if that was Kimmel, but I'm just,
yeah, I know what you're saying. One of the late night guys.
Late show hosts.
One of those evil straight white men who host late night
Yeah.
shows. Why don't they just quit and give it to a woman already? You know what I mean?
Well, they get it during the day. We were actually pitching it anyways.
No, I'm fucking around because that's a rhetoric I hear all the time whenever they
Yeah.
talk about how it's all white men in late night.
Well, anyways, the point is that now 8 days before Obama leaves, now Russia's the enemy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even when Mitt Romney made it an issue, and when Putin invades Crimea, or better yet, our industry is against all these communists, but we keep going to China for film fund money, which
Yeah.
I'm fine with that too.
Well, why I
just don't like the idea that everybody acts like they're all altruistic. Like, I'm reading my Facebook page, and all my progressive friends are now so pro-America. How dare you have Russian influence, which, by the way, is still stupid unless they change the votes. I'm more concerned with the right-wing propaganda and the left-wing. We have Breitbart and what's the other one? The Occupy Democrats that are fucking putting all the bullshit out there that's non-factual. Jezebel and all these other fucking crazy
InfoWars.
Yeah, all
there's
that
a lot
shit.
of there's a lot of nutty shit out there.
CNN,
Fox, yeah. Good Lord.
Honestly, if somebody ran on the platform that they will pull the license for CNN and Fox to call themselves a news network, I would vote for them.
Because they're not news networks.
They keep running
here's
a
my
story
theory.
about some comic. I think Stuttering John called Donald Trump and pretended to be a senator.
Oh God, who
they
gives a
keep
shit?
running
Like
this story.
that's what I
That's the
mean.
other
Like
thing,
stuff
man.
that was never news back in the day has become news. Where I'm like, no one gives a fuck. Like,
Their job isn't to give you information. Their
well,
job
it's
is
not.
To
It's-
sell you Big Macs on the commercial break.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it
Get
is.
you riled up, man.
That's it.
I read a thing where when the news networks, when news was first a thing, they wanted to have the news uninterrupted with no commercials. But then that changed.
Well, it used to
because
be
the idea
before-
was like, we're giving you the airways.
Joe, it used to be the fourth arm of the government. They used to take an oath that it was considered the fourth arm of the government. And even the debates, the League of Women Voters used to hold the debates. Actually, Ronald Reagan took that away, which my co-host Pete Giovine explained this to me. And because, the news media was Republican friendly back then. So even though, Ronald Reagan won by a landslide, by the way, popular vote, electoral vote, and people still protested. The left still protested his presidency. They have protested every presidency that did not go their way. From Ronald Reagan.
That doesn't even bother me, though. Because who gives a shit? You're allowed to protest.
It shows you. Why is that? Why don't you didn't see Republicans coming out in droves when Obama
They protested
was elected.
Obama. Yeah, they did.
No, they did not.
There
They
was
didn't
a lot
shut
of
down
protesting
fucking
shit. That's
15
what
cities.
the Tea Party came along by that. Like
The
that
Tea
was the
Party
Tea Party's
didn't mind-
reaction was
the
that.
Tea Party was-
I will say this: the Republican Party or the conservative movement was way better at organizing. The Democrats or the
They're
liberals
just
suck at
not-
organizing.
you don't see-
Occupy
okay.
Wall Street was a joke
Do you
compared to the
see-
Tea Party.
I know. I went to
it's
two
a
of them.
fucking joke.
I went to two of them, but and
They don't get like they'd rather
they
be
don't
right than
even
win.
know
You know?
what they're protesting.
Yeah, that's
If you
fair.
can
A lot
say,
of them
look,
don't.
like
Yeah.
Bernie said, let's put the Glass-Steagall back in. Here's the problem too, man. Is that people are just making a lot of noise and they don't have a solution for the noise.
They don't,
So if
no.
I'm just sitting there banging a drum and you're like, what's wrong? And I'm like, fuck you, this is communism. And they're like, okay, what do you want to do about it then? What's the plan? I don't know. And they keep beating the fucking drum.
What time is it now? 6:51. All right, we're gonna have to. This is gonna be a short podcast.
So here's the solution.
No, let's.
Here's the
I wanted to
solution, really
get
quick. Get limit terms in Congress.
because we're about
okay?
to do a show, everybody.
All right, so limit terms in Congress. Get the goddamn lobbyists out of fucking.
So corporate money gone. Do you
Gone.
agree with that? All right,
Gone.
cool. I believe I'm
You know
on
what
your
I mean?
team on that one.
And by the way, if you read Donna Brazil's book, you'll see the influence that Hillary had on the Democratic Party.
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the way that stupid delegate system. That's the other thing. Nobody.
delegates?
Yeah.
Yes,
Everybody
sure.
had a problem with the fucking electoral college, but nobody had a problem with the super delegate system.
I know. Yeah, it's bullshit.
You know.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And-
I don't consider. I was a Democrat for a while, and I don't really consider myself a Democrat.
We're-
There's a lot of things I lean towards Democrat, but I'm an independent. I think both political parties are an absolute fucking joke. They don't serve the people of this
Weed
country.
should be legal. Gay people should marry. Fucking and you should be able to make and keep as much as you make, and have accountability. You know, get rid of
Accountability's
frivolous
big.
lawsuits. You know, that's the other thing, man. Why do you think everything's
You know
so
what,
high?
though?
Because everybody's afraid to get sued, man. So your insurance is a sky high.
I don't know. You know, I was on that same team, but there's certain cases though, because tort reform in Texas limited how much you could sue. But there was a hospital that was completely negligent, fucked this family over, and the amount of money they needed to keep this kid alive from the age of 0 to 18 was
that's-
more than they could have got. So
By
there's
the
some
way,
shit like that.
That's a different lawsuit in a sense where
Come in. You could come in.
come in. It should be open.
I might be locked.
I meant
it's
more
locked
like let's say you're a business or a corporation, okay, and I'll give you a good example. It's not that much money to get a patent, right?
Yeah. Okay.
But you'll spend hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars defending that patent. Whereas, like, if you go to this, I guess this isn't really a lawsuit argument then, but the legal system is tilted in the favor of if you have a lot of money, you can walk, and we've seen that.
Well, that's where
if you're broke,
if you're
you're
rich,
fucked.
if you're rich, yes. So I think that's where
Privatizing
some of the
prisons?
hatred
What the
toward the
fuck is
rich.
that?
Disgusting.
Yeah, that's fucked up. Privatized prisons is another fucked up issue. So when people are against that, the drug war was bad, and that all goes inside with some of what people on the left are. I feel like right about when
Dude,
they're
we're-
bitching
listen,
about that
both
stuff, not
sides are
bitching
right.
but protesting.
You know what I noticed the fundamental difference is? Whenever I talk to progressives, they view the government as an entity. And whenever I talk to the conservatives, they view it as a system. And I think that's a big point that nobody's addressing. Because, the Occupy, what I liked about the Occupy movement is, and what I liked about the Libertarian and the Tea Party, which was a Ron Paul movement,
Yeah, it was.
was that basically right now, I'll sum this up, the government and the people are separate, and the corporations and the government are one. Okay? What we need to do is take the corporations out of the government and bring the people and the government back together.
Yeah, because there was a time where I feel like I know a lot on the right are like the government, fuck the government, fuck the government. But there was a time where the government could be used as an
But do
instrument
you
for good.
understand that
And there's a
idea
time.
that, buddy, the government is the people.
Yes, that's what I
So
mean.
if the
It's supposed to be
people
for
are
the people,
fucked
of
up,
the people, by the
government's
people.
fucked up.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
there's
not
a marriage there, and there should be a marriage
it's,
there.
It's
Yes.
symbiotic.
Yes.
It's that whatever you put into this thing, you're going to get out of it. And if you want to sit back and assume everybody else is going to fucking do what you think they're going to do for you, let's just take it in comedy. You get what you put into this.
Yes, you do.
I'm a 21-year-old comic, a 21-year comic. DJ, how long you been doing it? 9. Now, whether he's an Indian, I'm a white male, it doesn't matter. I'm still moving tickets, right? Or like Amy Schumer deserves to make $30 million, even if she was doing comedy 10 years less than me. And now, again, if comedy was just a meritocracy, right, then there would be certain people that aren't there and certain people that would be higher, but it's not, because it's a business. And it's the same thing in the NFL. It's the same thing with Roseanne. You don't have a constitutional right to a fucking TV show.
No.
It's a public thing. Same thing with
there's
the NFL.
consequences to the shit you say.
You don't have a right to play in the NFL. It's a private thing. And if they set these standards and they say, look, if you want to kneel, then go ahead and kneel. But we're not going to, you don't have that right. And if you want to use your voice for that, then you could still do that off the field. Again, I'm still wishy-washy on that issue.
They're going to come up with another way to protest, and that's fine because
it's fine, and they should.
The NFL will look bad though if they keep coming up with new ways to say you can't protest.
I remember when
if they start suspending people's Twitter accounts, then it's like, all right, listen, motherfuckers.
They can't do that.
Yeah,
they
can't.
There was the 4 cops that were killed in Dallas. The Dallas Cowboys wanted to put emblems on their helmet, and the NFL said no, because we don't want to get involved in anything political.
Yeah, because they wanted a consistency.
They just don't want that. It's bad
they don't
for
believe
business.
in. Yeah. Because then next week someone could put a different sticker on. Yeah, you know
right.
what I mean?
And they were like, we don't want that. And then now, they've had this. They've done this both ways, by the way.
Yeah, they have. No,
Don't
that's
sit
true.
there and then act like you guys are all patriotic when the fucking military is.
Well, the fucking Department of Defense, they're paying it. The military pays them, which is fucked up.
The Wild Wings when the game's starting and
everybody's fucking standing. It's never happens.
Never once have I seen it.
Never.
Ever.
It's weird. The whole story. The reason the anthem is sung at sporting events is from the military or our Department of Defense.
At the end of the day,
it's kind of
if
dumb.
the owner of this comedy club comes to me and says, Brett, you need to do an hour, all right? And if I do 2 hours, I'm fucked.
Yeah.
And there's certain rules and guidelines that if you want to, now outside of this thing, I could do whatever I want. Now, on this podcast now, if somebody hears me and says they don't want to hire me, then they have every right to do that. Does that make any sense?
Good. You don't want me to cut anything?
Asked me not to do a joke for the rest of the week.
You've been asked not to do a joke the rest of the week?
The fucking joke for the rest of the week.
Now, if you're at a bar show or if you're at a place that allows you to do it, then you should do it. But if you're if you're doing a show for free, you tell them to go fuck themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But if you're taking money,
But no, that's my boss for the week.
that would be like me saying I should be able to go on national TV when I'm doing a set and just say whatever I want to say and not act like there's no repercussions for it. It's the same thing with Roseanne. What Roseanne did was stupid. And if they want to cancel the show, they cancel the show.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You know,
I find it does go both ways. So people
ways.
who get mad at that shit, it's like there is a hypocrisy there, and it goes back to there's just everyone wants to be fucking right. You know, I mean, I don't want to reference Bill Burr again, but Bill Burr always says, I go to I'mRight.com, and then everyone says there's shit there.
They
like,
fucking have to back up what they think. It's so people only read books that enforce what they already believe. I will say this.
I think real intellectuals read the other side. They do oppositional research.
And,
yes,
and they can change their opinion in the mid. That's the other thing. If somebody is trying to learn, then you know what you do? Don't fucking throw it in their face and make it hard for people to change their mind.
You said something during your set yesterday that is something that I've been talking about. I've never tried to make a bit out of it because it's just something I had never thought of as a bit. But you said with one of your jokes, you were saying, I'm not racist, I'm just ignorant. And I think the word ignorant is a word that most people don't grab. If I called the average person ignorant, they'd be like, fuck you, dude. I'm like, dude, I'm not saying you're a bad person. No, I'm saying you're lacking knowledge on a certain subject.
If I went, the bit was
so,
if I called, if I said to DJ, what are you, India? And he says, I'm from Pakistan.
Oh, yeah, and then he gives you shit.
Calls me a racist because I don't know, even though it's the same fucking DNA.
Yeah.
That doesn't make me racist. I'm just ignorant. I still love whatever you are.
Well, if you call me Scottish, I'll fucking headbutt you,
son. I'm saying people could do that.
Yeah.
I can't tell the difference between somebody who lives in fucking Arizona and someone who lives in Nevada.
Well, that would be that would be like me getting mad because you didn't recognize I'm Sicilian.
Yeah.
Not Italian, and how dare you?
No, there's shit like that where it's like people did. Yeah.
The problem with this is that people see this. These people are very vocal.
We have too much information and too much free time, maybe.
And they flick, and that's people vote with their middle finger.
Yeah, they do.
You know,
and
it's
that's
just like
why we got
people
Trump.
root for teams with their middle finger, and it's just human nature. And again, what's great about capitalism and about America is America goes with human nature. It's human nature to compete. It's human nature to want to keep. It's human nature for some people to give. It's human nature for some people to. It's human nature is a paradox in itself.
Sure.
Socialism.
Broad term.
Socialism doesn't. Socialism is telling everybody to do, and it's not. Humans, by nature,
I think there could be a cat. I liked my perfect system is similar to what we kind of have a little bit anyway. I think we don't need to raise taxes to be able. I think we could have free health care because I do think if we're truly a great society,
you know how we do that.
We just got to cut other shit though.
No, you know how we do that. we limit their profit. Now that goes against capitalism. What do you think it is, DJ?
But there's some stuff that people. There's some stuff I don't think you should profit on.
Well,
but then people might argue what's their motivation to heal
that
people.
Profit right? You want them to still make money, but I mean their profit margins are fucking sickening.
They're insane. They're insane.
Sickening on them. I mean,
when
my brother
despicable.
was sick, we had to go to the goddamn hotels like in Dallas Buyers Club and get the fucking medicine. And here's the other fucked up part: Medicaid cut him off because he was doing well. Right.
That's fucked up, yeah.
Well, but the thing is, here's the crazy part. If the government gave $1 trillion from the pharmaceutical companies, will find a way to spend all $1 trillion. And if they double it the next year, they'll find a way to spend all the double.
Yeah.
There's nothing harnessing people in. And there's also this, dude, it's so complex. I will just end on the, you see how worked up I am now? My set's going to suck.
Nah, you're going to crush it, dude. No, I just think...
My favorite quote is... Eleanor Roosevelt said that intelligent minds discuss issues, average minds discuss events, and simple minds discuss people.
Yeah.
I find identity politics is a simple way just to discount and to credit somebody for, they have, not even for their ideas of just what they look like.
Yeah.
And that goes across the board. But when we're talking issues, you can solve the problems. Close that door.
Close the door, motherfucker. I'm about to go out.
Well, then close.
That's our house. We'll go on the other side of it.
See you.
Dipshit. Yeah, what are you doing? There's a curtain there.
If you stick to the issues, if you stick to what's right and what's wrong, okay? Basically judging people on their merit, right? Allowing people that do well to succeed and punishing people that are taking advantage of other groups of people. I think we can balance this back out. I just think it's gotten a little out of control.
I think there's a way to make everybody happy in a sense. I mean, never gonna be fucking perfect. And what I mean by happy, but like at least to the point where they go, okay, cool. All right, I could deal with that. It's not 100% what I want. It's not the utopia my brain has come up with. And you talk about identity politics. My big problem with identity politics is the people who get the most upset aren't the people in question. It's usually, we're talking about these like white suburban liberal arts students who get pissed, social justice kids, who get pissed off for other people, like when Katy Perry dressed like a geisha. That's cultural appropriation. You know who loved that? The country of Japan said, Katie, we love what you did. You honored our culture beautifully.
Never said anything about culture.
Japanese people didn't give a shit.
Fucking Indian people. Never once have we been like, that's cultural appropriation.
Well,
we're like, oh my God, they're finally not calling us Apu. They want to come to our weddings. They're listening to our music. They're eating our food.
Yeah, because it's a melting pot. We're starting to that's like progress in your world,
America,
right?
America,
like white girls doing
absolutely.
that.
America has
stuff in
been
their
one
hand,
big
what it's
cultural
called?
appropriation, and it's not a bad thing.
It's not. And that's why I think we truly become the greatest country in the world. We took a little bit of everything, and blend it together. You know what I mean?
Let's take basketball. White guys invented the game, so then we're. Well, but I'm saying, are they right in not allowing anybody else not to participate?
No, that'd be terrible.
Of course
yeah.
not.
It'd be stupid.
Because that's why basketball's fucking phenomenal now.
But what I'm saying is
because brothers took it to a whole other level.
Yeah.
Those white guys with the bounce passing and layups got a little fucking
put the ball directly in.
How does this guy just jump out of the gym? But again, when you look at even rock and roll, you got the country western Gaelic storytelling mixed with the blues, which was influenced by classical.
Yes.
Right? Because
and then you threw
pianos
some African
and guitars
drum beats
came from Europe. Yeah, that's all right.
No, we're good, man. Chilling here.
Anyways, the thing is that
I got to pause this though because I'm going to get ready for my set though, man.
You're fine. Let's just wrap it up.
All right, we'll wrap it up then. I didn't know if you wanted to maybe continue later because I did want to ask you about your college football career, but I could save that for another time.
Why would we even do that?
Dude, because I'm fascinated by that shit, man. What position did you play real quick? Real quick, let me guess. You look like a safety. Free safety?
I was a run support outside linebacker.
Okay, outside linebacker.
I was 220 then.
Because you look looking at your body type now, you look like a fucking a dude that could just come in and like a Lynch type.
I look like an ex athlete.
Like Ed Lynch, could just come in and throw a good pop right there. You know what I mean?
We should talk about what's going on in sports right now. How everything sucks because everybody's trying to brand themselves. The team play is gone. You know what I mean?
The funny thing is, as much as I hate the Golden State Warriors for doing that super team shit, although the Miami Heat started it really. I know they draft, and then Kevin Durant felt but they actually play a great team game though. Golden State Warriors play great. They pass 4 or 5 times before they pop a 3 from 35 feet out. But yeah, it's a different game now. You wanted to wrap? I'll give you the last word, obviously, because you're my guest, and I want to thank you for doing the podcast. Not the last word, just to summarize shit. You know what I'm saying?
Tell people listening.
I keep it fucking loose on this thing.
I'm in 35 cities a year. There is way, 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 way more things that people have in common to bring us together than what separates us.
Yes.
And do know that these people separate us on purpose.
They do.
There's literally psychological terms for everything they do, from knee-jerk intellectualism to fucking astroturfing to all kinds of terms that these people have created to get you riled up and to get you worked up. But in reality, I'm a personal belief, and I know I was on with Sam Tripoli on the Tinfoil podcast.
Tinfoil Hat. Yeah,
I think it's designed this way. I really do.
I would believe in that in a lot of ways. There's some social engineering put in there.
We've gotten so far by what we just got to get back to the basics.
Whenever I see protesters and cops going at it, I can't help but think there's some dude up in a tower going, "Dance, puppets, dance." Like, you know what I mean?
Here, really quick. All right, I got an analogy. Let's just say stand-up comedy 10 years from now. Everybody's using each other's material. Nobody's doing the stage time, right? And it's just starting to suck. But it's become this own thing. The bare bones are still there.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
The structure is still there. All you got to do is stop doing that, right? Clean that up and just get back to basics. Because the basics are there. And the number one is get the fucking money out of Washington.
I would agree there. That's a great way to end it, man. I think that's something that I think everyone could come together on that. That's what made Bernie. And limit
those goddamn terms.
That's what made Bernie fucking sexy, though, because if Bernie would have gotten the nomination, it would have made it so that if you're a Democrat in the future, you would have been able to run on that platform because you see it worked.
Well, there's a young girl, the Puerto Rican girl, just won. She's 28 years old, just beat like a house.
She brought some old school Democrats been around forever using. Yeah, so there's some. You're right. There's some encouraging shit there, and I know, like, you know, you saying you have a gay brother. You're cool with people saying, "Hey, don't call us this anymore." You're obviously on that side of things where you're like, "Yeah, I get people getting upset with that side of identity politics, but you don't like the side of identity politics where people are using it, going, you don't get to say this because of where you are. You don't get to say it because of where you know."
I don't. Look, here's the thing. I don't feel bad for any adult.
Yeah.
I only feel bad for children. You know what I mean? And whatever your story is, if it's a direct struggle for you. But if you're both your parents are doctors and you're some rich kid in fucking Williamsburg and you're trying to tell me that your oppression is because of some shit that happened 400 fucking years ago, I don't.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
And, you know, and look, and there's some things that I'm not talking about the black community because there are some. If people cared about that community, there's some things that, you know, we got to start focusing on there.
Sure, for sure.
These kids are dying at a fucking massive rate. And again, the cops are a problem. It's a symptom of the problem.
Well, there's a lot that goes into that, and that's a whole nother podcast.
And that should not be ignored. That should not be ignored.
No, of course not, man. I definitely think.
But at the same time, you can't demonize the cop. It's just, look, it's simple. It's just rational thinking.
Well, you're saying
just be rational.
It's a big problem, and there's a lot of symptoms to it. There's a history there. There's like the cops are a system of the problem. There's just a lot go back. A symptom. That's what I mean.
Of the problem.
But you, in order to cure a disease, you got to attack symptoms too. So I'm not saying attack, but you got to look into those and be like, hey,
it's
some
a
shit needs to get
complex thing.
fixed.
I'm just saying
it's so complex. There's a lot of ingredients in that shit still.
Yes, but it should not be dismissed.
No, yeah, of course.
You know what I
All right,
mean?
cool. Now I hear you, bud. I hear you, man.
Nothing like that.
Dude, man, I got to wrap this up because I got to piss before I go on, and I'm going on in like 3 minutes. I like this though. It's kind of like a little adrenaline rush before taking the stage.
This is what you told me before we got on. This is what you wanted.
Dude, this is what I want, man. I like this stuff, and I appreciate you getting all hyped up like that, and that's why I like about. That's why I fucking like about you, dude, man. No, because to me, I don't understand how people don't get hyped up like that. Because
people are normal and they don't yell and they don't get worked up.
In my brain, I'm like, dude, if you're passionate, be fucking passionate, dude. Fucking show me you give a shit.
Sometimes it can turn people off.
No, but the difference is with you, though, I don't think you're going to take it like later. Say me and you did disagree. And there's a couple things where I'm like, a little bit here or there, but I wanted to let you speak, you know?
Yeah, God forbid.
I don't think later you would be like, fuck this piece of shit. Like, you know what I mean? I just think at the end of the day, I think this is where shit gets solved, because at the end of this podcast, you and I agreed on more things like get money out of politics, you know, stop legalize weed, you know, all this kind of shit like that. Like, you know, stuff like that where I think we need to focus more on that stuff. And then the rest of the stuff I think will work itself out.
There's no absolute solution. You have to bend somewhere.
I don't think there's an absolute solution. I agree with you there. I think no matter what, some group's going to be unhappy.
And I don't think,
but I don't mind them trying to fight for what they believe in. That I think is cool.
I don't think equality, though, is also denying people that are talented and successful opportunities and awarding them to people that are less in the, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just to level the playing, like saying we're not going to hire any white men because now you're going to hurt the industry.
Yeah, that's stupid.
And I'm all for diversity.
I'm all for representation, diversity too.
Good.
Sure. Yeah, because then you're hurting those people by putting people who aren't ready yet for it, and then people are like, well, we're not going to take a chance on a female because look what we did last time we did.
And that's what I love about the Comedy Store too, man. Our women are not female comics. The Comedy Store's got the best comics. We watch the women and men. We bring each other up. This is a good female comic.
No, this is a great comic. This is a fucking
it's like
beast.
Bert said, if
Everyone's
you can
a
kill,
beast.
If you can kill on stage, nobody gives a shit.
Yeah, dead on, man.
And our girls kill.
Brett, dude, thanks for doing the podcast,
Yeah,
man.
dog.
Everyone, this has been Kilgallon's Pub. I will talk to you all soon, man. Thanks, bud.